Ending live now. Okay, so just leave it a few seconds.
Right, good morning one and all, and welcome to the West Mercia Energy Joint Committee meeting of Tuesday the 29th of September 2020, which we are holding virtually, which is a bit of a first, I think, for West Mercia Energy. Good morning and welcome to Right, now that is interesting because I have a bit of a feedback loop going on. I don't know whether anybody else has got that, where there's a bit of a delay and it's coming back to me, but I think we might have cured it now. No, we haven't.
Chair, try turning your volume down slightly.
I think I've had a similar problem to this before. Abby, is Councillor Hardman logged into two different Teams meetings? I think he might be hearing the public coming back, the public message coming back a few seconds after he's speaking and hearing his own original message.
Potentially, yeah. I think it looks as though he's just left and he's going to rejoin, so that might sort it.
If we continue to have problems, is the Vice Chair ready to take over if necessary?
Yeah, I can do if we need to. We'll give him a couple of minutes.
Thank you, Peter.
It'll be quicker if I do it. Shall we crack on, and then if Adrian comes back, he can take over again? I'll just do the easy bits at the front. Have we had any apologies for absence?
We haven't had any formal apologies for absence, but we are just waiting for a couple of members to join. So they may join as we go through the meeting, but no formal member apologies.
Right, I'll leave you to use your discretion how you deal with that then. Right,
okay.
Item 2 were the minutes, and they were circulated. I've read them, they all look pretty straightforward to me. Anybody got any comments on the minutes? No, unless anybody indicates differently, then I think I would suggest we accept them as a true record.
Great.
Right, that's agreed then. Public questions, have we had any public questions?
No, Chairman, no public questions have been received.
Right, disclosable pecuniary interests. Anybody got anything to declare? No, that's all quiet then. Right, item 5, supplier contracts. I assume, Nigel, you're going to talk us through this?
Yes, Vice Chair, Nigel Evans, Director, West Mercia Energy. Our standing orders indicate that we will maintain a register and contain records of any actions under certain clauses within the standing orders. And they also state that the register shall be open for inspection at each meeting. I've got the register here, and I'm supposed to advise you verbally of any entries in the register since the last meeting, of which there has been one. Entry dated 13th of March, and it relates to the supply of bulk LPG, which is liquefied petroleum gas. And the contract has been let in accordance with Standing Order 3.2(3), which states, for the extension, addition or maintenance of existing goods or services where the director is satisfied that this can only be conducted satisfactorily by the original contractor or supplier. And that's the case here. The supplier is Calagas, and they have their own tanks at schools and other facilities, and it's not cost effective for another supplier to replace, or possibly on occasions, given how the setup is around the schools, to replace the tanks. So we maintain our current contract arrangement with Calagas. That's all there is on the register this time.
So it's just a question of noting that then, is it?
Indeed, indeed.
Right. Okay, so that will be noted. Right, moving on then. Item 6, statement of accounts and annual governance statements. Now it says contact James Walton, so I didn't know whether it was Nigel or James who was going to do the talking. James looks like he's ready to go. James.
Yes. Thank you, Chair. James Walton, Shropshire Council, Director of Finance, Governance Insurance, and the Treasurer for West Mercia Energy. This item we need to consider alongside the external audit findings report, which is later on the agenda. But basically, this report provides a copy of the letter of representation, which needs to be signed by the chairman at the end of the meeting, which the external auditors need to confirm that the information that has been disclosed within the accounts is correct. Then the second appendix is the actual statement of accounts for the 1920 financial year, and then the third element is the annual governance statement, which sets out the overall governance arrangements for West Mercia Energy. So the statement itself contains all the details of the last financial year. There's been an increase in turnover from the previous year, which with a surplus which is now just short of £900,000, which was again up on the previous year. This was driven by quite a high level of customer retention, but also new procurement options were built in for a number of customers as well. So that's continuing to expand the business. Going forward, obviously, we've got in the current financial year, we need to take into account COVID-19 and the impact that's having on property and energy usage, but also Brexit as that comes in, and obviously that's going to be an issue. Those two issues may be partly indistinguishable in a number of ways going forward. In terms of the actual statement of accounts, the pensions liability for former West Mercia Supplies employees is still part of the accounts for 2019-20. This is the last year that it will form part of these accounts before a separate West Mercia Supplies pension committee comes into being, and that will remove that element from the balance sheet going forward. So the detailed statements are included at, say, Appendix 2, and if there are any detailed technical questions, then I'll do my best to hand over to Nigel to answer those as necessary. Thank you.
Right. Nigel, any comments, or you happy with what James has said?
Yeah, I concur with that. Yeah.
Right. So, members, any comments? No. So, do we then need to formally accept the accounts, the statement of accounts and the annual governance statement? I'm quite happy to propose that from the chair.
Yeah, it's just the three recommendations, Chair. So to note the letter of representation, consider the finalised accounts, and then consider the annual governance statement, and then they can then be signed by the chairman and myself as necessary.
Right. So as I say, I'll propose the 3 recommendations en bloc. I could do with somebody seconding them. I don't know who we've got exactly around, but I'm among the members. Can I have somebody offer to second them?
Chair, I'm happy to second them.
Right. Thank you. Right. Any
Can I
comments?
say, I've noticed various emails coming from Hereford officers and members saying they're struggling to log on. So they're ready to come on board, but frustratingly can't come on. So I don't know whether we want to pause while the technical issues are sorted, or how you feel about it, Chair. Obviously, Councillor Hartman
I'm never quite sure what our rules are. Do we need somebody from every council to make it a quorum committee, or can we carry on anyway?
Vice Chairman, I understand that the rules, and Nigel and James will maybe know as well, it's 2 members from 2 separate authorities to be quorate, which we do have at the moment.
Right.
I've just had a similar message from the auditors as well, saying that they're trying to log in and can't seem to get in. It seems to be a live event rather than a meeting.
I had the same problem, and I had to go in via the calendar on Teams rather than the link.
I do know Abby is ringing. She's at the moment she's contacting Councillor Hardman to find out what troubles he's having. So Abby is trying to rectify the problems that we're having. But
so, do you think we should have a break for a couple of minutes and wait? All right, we'll give them all a couple of minutes and see where we're at.
So if everyone wants to just mute their microphones for now while we pause, have a short adjournment.
Right, how are we doing? Have we any idea how many we've got on board now?
Do you think it would be worth just doing a quick roll call, Councillor Nutting, just to see?
Okay, yeah, I can.
I've emailed each of the member who's contacted me to say they're having problems logging on. I've given them the IT services help desk number, and they are on standby to help with any technical questions. So is it worth having a roll call?
Right, well, let's see who we've got and who we haven't. So if we start with Herefordshire, I'm sorry, I don't know everybody personally. I'm going down the list. Elle Harvey.
I know she's trying to log on at the moment.
Right.
Muted if you've got a line through the microphone.
So there we go.
Ah, Adrian's back with us. Right, I'm going to hand you back to Adrian. I've been cracking on, and we've got to the item about the statement of accounts, and I had got them proposed and seconded, but we had put a stop on then to allow people to get connect with us. So I'll hand it back to you now.
Right, thank you very much for stepping in, Peter. Unfortunately, what I didn't realise is that I had to join through Shropshire rather than Worcestershire, and I suspect that's what's stopping other people joining as well. So we've got one or two, I think, on the way. So are we going to progress this meeting?
Adrian, can I just ask a question or make a comment? I noticed that you, Mark Saunders and Nigel Hudson were all not accepted, whatever that means on the screen. So whether they're trying to come in through Shropshire or not, I don't know.
I think it's because we were trying to join through Worcestershire rather than the Shropshire portal. Because I'm now in Shropshire Council rather than Worcestershire, and that's what the error is, I'm afraid. We've got one or two others trying to.
If I could just, it's Emily Marshall, Committee Officer. Abby is contacting the members who are having trouble joining. She's resending the joining instructions for them. So if we just give them a few more minutes, Abby is contacting them to offer some assistance.
Yeah. No, good. So John will be off and running fairly soon, I suspect. Good. No, I didn't realise that Teams worked in this way. I have to say, I presumed it was always a standard entry.
Adrian, I had the same problem. I only know because I'm on the pensions fund as well and have struggled to get into Shropshire. And those funny little drop downs at the top, but even then that doesn't seem to solve it always. So
yeah, no, that's the key of it to it, isn't it? Is the drop downs at the top.
It appears to be, although I'm in Telford and Wrekin at the moment in the drop down.
Oh right, but it'll allow you to join.
Yeah, well, I tried to go in through Shropshire to start with, and it didn't. I couldn't get in. It just said it hasn't started. So.
Okay. Well, we're sort of nearly there, I think. Right. Now, what I can't work out. Hmm. Right, Nigel, are we, do you think we're in a position to carry on? You can't hear me now, can you?
You're muted, Nigel.
No, I can't. I was trying to get the screen back up.
That's all right.
There's various correspondence kicking around. Dave Rowley from Grant Thornton still trying to log on, who's presenting the next paper, and I can see that Abby's just resent some joining instructions. So so there's certainly one officer and 2 members from Herefordshire trying to get on, or have been for the last quarter of an hour.
Yeah.
And Dave from Grant Thornton as well. So it's who's doing the next paper, and I'm not sure if we've got anybody from external audit here yet as well. Pete Chatterton. So,
well, I was going to say it makes sense, I think, that we agree the statement of accounts because we are quorate. So if I can propose that, unless Peter's already done it.
Yeah, it was proposed and seconded. Yeah.
Right.
But I'm quite happy for you to do it, whatever.
No. Well, that's fine. And so if we can just agree that those of us who are online with the show, because we are quorate. Yeah. Thanks, Ray, for joining. All agreed?
Yeah, I'm happy to agree. Yeah.
Great. John, I'm sure agrees.
Agreed.
We will pause with the external auditor, but I don't know if Seri is on the call.
Hello, Chair.
And we'll move to the internal audit annual report.
Hello, Chair. It's Pete Chatterton, Principal of Shropshire Council. I can take the internal audit report in Kerry's absence, if that's okay with yourself.
Yeah, no, great. Pages 83 to 90.
Okay, so this is the summary of the work that internal audits have undertaken during 2019-20. A lot of the content of the report will be familiar to members because the individual reports were taken to the February committee. But this basically just summarises the position for the final year. So it confirms that we completed 100% of the planned work. Of the 5 pieces of work completed, 4 of them led to good assurance, and there was, which is the highest level achievable, and 1 led to a limited assurance, which was in respect of the IT work undertaken. Members may remember that in respect of the 1 limited assurance report, that related to the ongoing redevelopment of the existing IT systems, and this level of insurance was not unusual for something that was mid-project. Also, during the February committee, members did receive management assurance in the form of the action plan that was completed in respect of the audit and confirmation that the systems were actually working better than they'd ever had them at that particular time. So therefore, based on all of those, Kerry was able to give an opinion for the year that the company's governance, risk management and internal control processes are sound, working effectively, and the head of audit can deliver a reasonable opinion on the internal control environment for 2019-20. That basically summarises the report as far as I'm concerned, members, but I'm happy to take any questions if anybody's got anything they want to talk about in detail.
No, thank you very much indeed, Peter. Now, has anybody got any questions that they want to pose to Peter? I certainly don't. I don't see anybody else showing, but what I've forgotten to do is just open up the chat box. So I think in that case we can, if I can, I think we're noting this, aren't we? If I can just move the recommendations in paragraph 2. And thank internal audit very much indeed. I'll look for a seconder.
Happy to second.
Thank you very much, Peter.
Thank you, Chair.
We all agreed, and thanks very much indeed for your work. Okay. And you know, it's a very good result for those with long memories. Remember the rather grim internal audit reports that we used to have, I suppose, probably 10 years ago. So thanks very much indeed.
Okay.
In that case, we'll move on to item 9, the distribution of the surplus, which is a report by the Treasurer. James.
Thank you, Chair. I'm happy to take this. Just to say, an email's just come in from Councillor Gemma Davis saying that none of them can make the meeting. They can't make comment or raise hands at the moment, and they've asked if the meeting could be paused until this is sorted. So I'm quite happy to take the paper, or I'm quite happy to pause, but I just thought you needed to know that there's still another.
Right. And that's Herefordshire who are still trying to join, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think if they've asked us to pause, we ought to pause, and give them a few minutes, because it is quite it's terribly simple when you know what the fault is.
Chairman, it's Emily, Committee Officer. Abby is on the phone. She's calling Councillor Gemma Davis from Herefordshire now to help her log on, and her colleagues as well. So if we just pause, they may join us shortly. Yeah,
no, let's just pause for a few minutes and just see if we can resolve it, because I mean it is the thing that really puzzles me is how John Smith has managed to crack this.
Years of experience, Adrian.
Well, I don't believe that for a moment.
I think I got better luck than I have when I go to Cheltenham races.
Yes.
But I would just remind members that we're not able to actually pause the live event, so we're live while we're waiting. So just to remind members.
That's very helpful. Have we? And have the external auditors managed to join us yet? I can't see them.
I don't believe so, Chair.
I've just had an email saying he's stuck in the sign-in screen now and is in the queue for IT. He's followed the latest instructions.
Right.
So.
Sun's come out so strongly, I'm going to have to draw the curtains now. That's a bit better. There we go. The Herefordshire use Teams. We're in the process of migrating to it.
I believe they do. Yes. Yeah, I was told they did when we offered training.
Yeah, no.
It is strange. I always have problems getting into Shropshire, but I don't know, maybe everybody has a problem getting into Telford as well, but I do mean via Teams, not the road.
Via Teams, yeah. And yes, it worked all right for the LGA the other day, which slightly, we had a very jolly team meeting with that. I mean, it all seemed to go very well.
Don't the LGA usually use Zoom?
Yeah, no, I was a bit puzzled as to why they do normally use Zoom, but in this case, we were on Teams, so I'm not too sure quite why. But we have Matt Hancock joining us, so maybe that was probably why. I don't know what government use. I think they tend to use Teams.
Could be, yes.
So I would think that's why, but you're right, no, they seem to be fans of Zoom, as are all my parish councils,
Yes, yes. I think it's something to do with numbers, but I may be wrong.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. Somebody just joined now.
So it's me, I turn the camera off when nothing's happening.
Oh, right, well,
You
that's
can't see me reading something with my mouth open.
Now, Emily's put up in the chat box, should we adjourn to another date? I think we have signed off the account, but I think the reason why I'd like to keep on going is to get the external audit report through and the distribution of the surplus agreed today. Do we have any other views on whether we should adjourn for another date if Herefordshire is still struggling to join? Peter, what do you think?
I try and crack on, but I'm falling out with Herefordshire at various things, so I'm a bit reluctant to say too much. But I do think the business needs, and there's nothing controversial, I wouldn't have thought, on this agenda. I did look at the agenda and think it was pretty straightforward. If I thought there was anything controversial, it would be different.
No, that's what my view is, but I do think it's important that we, if we can, press on with this and finish it today, I think.
Adrian,
yeah.
I know I don't understand the technology, but can Hereford not ring in?
That's just appeared in the chat box where Abby's on the phone to Gemma Davis now. So
yeah, what I'm saying is, can they ring into Teams? I don't know, because you can ring into Zoom and Skype.
I'm with you.
I think they can.
I mean, we are quorate, so I think we can press on.
Yeah, I would just offer my advice. It's Emily, Committee Officer. We are quorate, and also we can't ring Councillor Gemma Davis at the moment because I understand she is actually, I can see she's in a call to Abby. So Abby is trying to help her join. I mean, full joining instructions were sent with the agenda. I'm not sure what the IT issues they're having, but I guess we can hang on and see, or just carry on with the items on the agenda.
Well, I do sort of tend to agree. I think we can move on with the distribution of the surplus. The external auditor hasn't joined us yet, has he? He's still trying to get in. So James, I think we'll reopen the meeting and move to item 9, which is pages 91 to 94 for those of you who are following paper agendas. James, any comment you want to make on this?
In relation to the distribution of surplus, unfortunately, I'm struggling to get my paper up at the moment. It's just my screen's frozen. But from memory, basically the way this paper works, we produce the surplus is produced by West Mercia Energy over the year. There are deductions made for a number of items, and that came to just over £600,000. Which then leaves a balance which is available for distribution, which is just over £1.1 million this year. There is a distribution mechanism which has been in place for a while, and that distribution mechanism then divides that surplus up amongst the 4 owning authorities. So it is really just to confirm the figures that are available and to confirm that distribution, provided we get approval today, will then be made shortly, usually in October, when it will be made out to the owning authorities.
Yeah. Any comments from those of us who are on the call?
Yeah, let's get our hands on the money. I think it's, it's normal to have it paid out at this time of year. So, yeah, why not?
Yeah, so if I can just formally move the recommendations as listed in 2.1 A and B, that we make a retention of £633,000, and we agree the accumulated surplus distribution as in laid out in the joint agreement. All those. Peter, will you second?
I'll second it, and
thank you very much.
Yeah.
And all those in favour, I can see 3, 4 hands. Thank you very much. Moving on to the risk management update, which is over to Nigel.
Thank you, Chair. So pages 95, 96 of your pack. The risk management strategy is brought to committee annually, and it was last brought to committee in February, where the committee agreed the strategy. The risk register is kept under constant review, and we formally review it twice a year. Currently, there's 73 highlighted risks within the register. Most of those are operational, and there's controls in place which mitigate the risks to an acceptable level. Currently, there are 5 high or medium risks identified, which are set out in table 5.4 on page 96. And I'll run through those shortly. What I would say that the main change since the last meeting in the risk assessments has been the impact of COVID-19. And we've seen 1 risk increase there from medium to high, and that's relating to the breach of product tolerance levels, relating to our gas cash out. And also I brought in a new risk of specifically down to COVID-19 on lower volumes consumed. So that's a new medium risk that I've identified. The 3 other risks, the 3 other medium risks as identified before, remain at a medium level. And I just add, we've rescored 3 other medium risks from previous products to satisfy customers' green agenda. We've reduced the likelihood to 3. The loss of a number of terminations on the customer contract side, the impact is reduced on that. And the final one that was identified as medium last time related to the negative asset position of the balance sheet of WME relating to the pension liability. And there's been changes made to that whereby the pension liability will move from the WME books from April 20. So that risk has almost disappeared now. So hence why that risk is now reclassified as low. So those are the change in the risks. I've just made reference to Brexit, which was covered quite a bit of the paper 12 months ago. I would say it ceased to be a factor impacting the energy markets primarily, and there's been a lot more focus on COVID-19 and other elements such as carbon. It has been considered, but it's covered within other risks rather than a specific risk for Brexit. So that's where we are. That's the changes. I think that makes sense given the impact of COVID over the last few months. We'll keep a close eye on them moving forward. But happy for you to ask any questions, or otherwise consider and endorse the report, please, Chair.
Thank you very much, Nigel. Now, do we have any questions? There's nothing popped up in the chat box.
Yes, please, Adrian.
Adrian, can I just comment quickly?
Yep.
I think it is a moving situation with the pandemic. So if you think the risks do change substantially anywhere along the line, you can email us or call an emergency meeting, and I think that would be necessary, but only if something changes substantially, because as I say, the world's a funny place at the moment. Everything is changing rapidly, and that's all I'd say. I'm quite happy with the report, but if things do change at any point in the near future during the next few months, just call an emergency meeting, or we can email each other and make sure we understand what's going on.
Happy with that, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a very good point, Peter, and thanks for making that. John, did you have something?
Yeah, can I just ask, reference 1, the breach of product tolerance levels, what's that really mean, Adrian or Nigel?
So on our gas product, we have a cash out mechanism, which means if we purchase volumes that we no longer require because they're not going to be consumed, we have to cash those out or liquidate them to the market. So in April and May, we saw the day-ahead price of the market for gas drop significantly. So we were cashing out the volumes at a loss. So that was breaching our top product tolerance levels. That's in a nutshell.
Okay, thanks for that, Nigel. Thanks, Joan.
The only question I had, Nigel, was 73 risks. Sounds an awful lot to me.
Indeed. A lot of them are fairly low level. A lot of them are an acceptable risk level. So there are risks that exist as a business, and we monitor them. So, but so only of those 73, there's only 5 that are classified medium or medium or high, which is probably the most important thing.
And yeah. Right, so we have the recommendations, which is consider and endorse. So if I can just move endorsement.
Happy to second.
Peter will second. Yeah. Thank you very much indeed. All agreed? Agreed. Thank you. So we then move on to item 11, which is the exclusion of the press and public. If I could formally move under the 1972 Act that we exclude the press and public.
Chairman,
thank you.
Chairman, sorry to interrupt. It's Emily, committee officer. I know we haven't got anyone from external audit, but we haven't considered agenda item 7 yet. The audit findings report. What should we do with that one? Do we want to consider it, or once we move to the exclusion of public and press, we'll be ending the live session?
No,
I mean, the report has been circulated, and I assume everybody's read it. I didn't have any particular issues with it, so unless anybody's got any issues, we could go back and agree it, unless anybody really thinks differently.
Nigel, would you be prepared to just introduce the report and do it that way?
Yeah, happy to. External audit conducted their work in August as normal, and their audit findings report is detailed in the pack. The important thing is they are proposing a unqualified audit opinion, so there's no issues that they found. There's no changes. There were a couple of items they identified as outstanding in their work. So I would assume at this point those have been completed. There hasn't been any feedback to myself or Joe, our finance manager, there was any issues from that remaining element of work. Yeah, we've addressed all the questions and points raised from audit, and as has been the case for a number of years, it would be a clean, unqualified opinion. Nothing else to add, really.
Adrian, you're muted.
Yep, I'm not now. No, I absolutely concur. I mean, this I thought was a absolutely fine audit report. We have an unqualified opinion. There is nothing in materiality in it. So I'm more than happy to propose that we, having considered the audit report, endorse it.
Right, happy to second that, I am.
Thank you. All those in favour, please show. That's Peter and myself, John. Thank you very much indeed. That's agreed unanimously. So now we can move on, and hopefully the auditor might join us at the next meeting if he has anything he wanted to add. We'll move to exclusion of the press and public under item 11, and Emily, I'll ask you to pause the live feed to the outside world.
Thank you, will do.